Have you ever walked away from a conversation replaying every word, sensing something was off, but you couldn't quite name it? A smile that felt too polished, a compliment that stung like a hidden insult, a question that wasn't curiosity but a trap. We've all felt it, that quiet unease when someone isn't speaking to us, but through us, trying to bend our thoughts without us realizing. The Stoics knew this kind of battle well. They lived in courts, markets and councils where flattery and schemes were constant, where the real fight wasn't fought with swords, but with influence. And they learned that silence, calm and clarity could be sharper than any reply. For to a manipulator, nothing is more unsettling than a person they cannot read, cannot provoke, cannot pull into their game. What if you could walk through these encounters untouched? What if, instead of defending yourself, you became the mirror that exposed their tactics, leaving them powerless without you ever raising your voice? That's what we're going to explore together. Not a lecture, but a set of timeless practices, 7 quiet strategies drawn from Stoic thought that will help you stay steady when others try to pull your strings. So take a breath, settle in, and let's begin this journey into calm strength. Number 1, the mirror defense. Have you ever looked into someone's eyes and felt as if they were trying to crawl inside your mind, twisting your thoughts before you even had the chance to speak? Manipulators thrive on this imbalance. They want to see you clearly while hiding their own intentions in shadows. They want you to dance to their rhythm, to flinch when they move, to reveal when they conceal. But here lies the paradox. Nothing unsettles such a person more than being shown their own reflection. The Stoics taught us that the greatest power lies in governing ourselves, not in mastering others. Epictetus once said, "Any person capable of angering you becomes your master." By extension, any person capable of confusing you, cornering you or bending your will becomes your master too. The way out is not through anger or through desperate counter-arguments, but through calm detachment, holding a mirror so steady that their own posture betrays them. This is the essence of the mirror defense. Instead of rushing to defend yourself, you refuse to give them anything new to exploit. You let them stumble over the echo of their own tactics. I once knew a man who thrived on questions designed to weaken others. At dinners or gatherings, he would lean across the table and ask with a smile that wasn't quite kind, "So, what are you hiding these days?" People laughed nervously. Some defended themselves. Others offered too much. He gained ground with every response. But one evening, someone simply met his gaze, smiled faintly, and asked back, "And you? What are you hiding?" The air froze. His charm cracked. The man fumbled, coughed, and changed the subject. That moment revealed the truth. He was never prepared to see his own methods turned against him. His power existed only when others gave him something to feed on. The mirror defense is not about playing games. It is about balance. If someone asks you a question that drips with hidden edges, you return it calmly. If they press with flattery that feels hollow, you return it with politeness, just as shallow, never letting it pull you into deeper waters. If they jab, let them strike only air. The calm in your eyes is enough. In that silence, they see themselves. And as Marcus Aurelius reminded us, the soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts. When you refuse to add your color to theirs, all they are left with is their own stain. Think of a manipulator as a man throwing hooks into water. Most people swim too close and feel compelled to bite, but a Stoic swims differently. He does not lunge at every lure. He does not thrash at every pull. He becomes the still water itself, forcing the fisherman to see his own reflection trembling on the surface. When you do not give in to the bait, the hooks lose their purpose. The fisherman grows restless, uncertain, even frightened by the quiet depth he cannot disturb. There is strength in such calm, but do not mistake it for passivity. Reflection is an active stance. It is the decision to stand in your own clarity rather than be swept into their fog. It is saying without words, "You will not draw me where you wish. You will confront only yourself here." And most people cannot stand too long before a mirror that shows them their own masks. Their schemes unravel not because you crushed them, but because you did nothing to sustain them. So the next time you feel that chill, that sense that someone's smile hides a snare, remember the mirror. Do not rush, do not justify, do not explain. Let your silence, your steady eyes, your measured words reflect them back to themselves. This is not defiance for its own sake. It is the discipline of one who refuses to be ruled. The more they reach to bend you, the clearer their own shape becomes. And in that moment, you are no longer the prey of their tactics. You are the witness to their undoing. Stand firm in this practice, and you will find that their power shrinks. They cannot strike what does not flinch. They cannot exploit what does not react. You do not need to fight fire with fire. You simply become the mirror that sends the flame back upon the hand that lit it. And this is only the beginning. For if the first step to disarming manipulation is reflection, the second step is something even more subtle. Learning to master the power of silence itself. Number 2, the emotion vacuum. Have you ever noticed how quickly peace can vanish the moment someone touches a hidden nerve inside you? One comment, one smirk, one subtle jab, and suddenly the calm you carried all day is stolen, replaced with a storm you didn't choose. This is how those who seek to control others operate. They don't need weapons or chains. All they need is your reaction. For every time you flinch, every time you rush to explain yourself, every time you show them the map of your emotions, you are handing them the keys to your inner citadel. And yet the Stoics taught that this citadel, the fortress of the mind, is the one place that must never fall. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself daily, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." What does this mean in practice when standing before someone who is trying to rattle you with hidden insults or poisoned smiles? It means you become still, like a mountain unmoved by passing winds. It means you drain their efforts of nourishment by refusing to give them the one thing they cannot seize on their own, your emotion. This is the art of the emotion vacuum. When they strike, the blow dissolves against the walls of your composure. Only silence, presence, and eyes that do not waver. I once witnessed a scene at a gathering where a man tried to cut another down with a cruel joke disguised as humor. Everyone laughed awkwardly, waiting for the victim to defend himself or laugh along. But he did neither. He simply looked at the joker with calm eyes, his face unreadable, and remained still. The silence thickened. What began as amusement turned into discomfort, and soon the laughter died in the throats of those around the table. The one who had tried to wound was left exposed, his power shriveled, his words ringing hollow. It wasn't a counterattack that disarmed him, it was the absence of reaction, the void that reflected his own smallness back to him. This discipline is not about becoming stone, nor about killing the capacity to feel. A Stoic feels deeply, but he chooses where to display those feelings. Seneca said, "It is not that we have a short time to live, but that we waste much of it. We waste it when we spill our emotions at the feet of those who seek to use them. To guard them is not to be numb, but to be wise. In private you may grieve, rejoice, or wrestle with your thoughts. But before one who would twist your humanity into chains, you reveal nothing." For emotion is not weakness, it is information, and you never hand vital information to an adversary. Think of yourself as a fire contained within a lantern. To those worthy of trust, you may lift the glass and let the warmth spread. But when faced with one who would blow on the flame to see it flicker, you keep the glass sealed tight. They will huff and puff, but they cannot touch the core of your light. Over time, the futility of their attempts exhausts them. They find no purchase, no handle, no entry. They are forced to stand before the one reality they cannot bend, your self-command. This is why the emotion vacuum unsettles manipulators more than any confrontation could. They depend on motion, the stirring of your voice, the heat in your face, the eagerness to defend. Without it, they stand in a fog of their own making, unable to see the next move. And the longer the silence stretches, the more they are forced to wrestle not with you, but with themselves. In that way, you win without ever lifting a hand. So the next time someone tests you with a sly remark or a veiled insult, remember, the strength is not in the quick reply. The strength is in the pause. The strength is in the refusal to hand them your peace. Hold their gaze, let the silence widen, and watch as their own game consumes them. This is not detachment born of fear. It is detachment born of mastery. For when you no longer bleed emotion into the hands of others, you step fully into the role the Stoics prepared you for, the guardian of your own mind. And when you learn to stand so still, so calm, the world itself begins to shift. But stillness is only one form of power. The next step is to understand how silence, when chosen deliberately, can speak louder than any reply. Number 3. Strategic delay. Have you ever felt the pressure of someone demanding an answer right now, as if the weight of the world would collapse if you didn't respond on their terms? That rush, that urgency, is the favorite weapon of those who wish to control you. They know that speed suffocates thought. They know that when you move too quickly, you stumble into traps you would have seen clearly had you paused for even a moment. This is why the Stoics placed such value on patience. Seneca once said, "Time discovers truth," and it is in the deliberate use of time, in the refusal to be hurried, that you reclaim your freedom. To delay is not to avoid, it is to take command. Imagine someone sends you a message, sharp with pressure. "I need this now. Can you do this for me?" Most people rush to reply, fearing disapproval, eager to please. But you wait. Hours, perhaps a day. You let the silence breathe. And in that space, the one who thought they had you begins to unravel. They check their phone, they second-guess their tone, they send another message, softer or angrier, but always more revealing. You have shown them that your time is not theirs to command. And in that gap, their mask slips. I remember a man in the marketplace who thrived on urgency. He was known for cornering buyers with words like, "Decide now or lose the chance forever." One day, he tried this on a stoic-minded traveler. The man simply smiled, folded his hands behind his back, and said, "If this offer vanishes before I finish my walk, then it was never worth considering." Hours later, the same merchant was chasing him down the street, offering a better price than before. Why? Because urgency is an illusion. Delay unmasks it. The buyer did not win by clever argument. He won by stillness, by patience, by refusing to let another man dictate his rhythm. Strategic delay is not laziness. It is clarity. It is the decision to pause, to breathe, to see the field before you make your move. When someone confronts you face to face, demanding an instant response, try it. Let silence stand between you. Look calmly, breathe, and give the weight of a pause. In those seconds, something remarkable happens. The one pressing you begins to fill the silence with their own doubts. They explain too much. They reveal what they never meant to. They sense they are no longer leading, you are. Marcus Aurelius urged himself to remember that haste breeds mistakes, but calm reflection breeds strength. The Stoic does not rush because he is not desperate. He knows that what must be done wisely can never be done too quickly. When you slow the tempo, you place the power back in your own hands. You owe no one immediate access to your mind. To delay is to declare, my mind is not a public street. You do not enter at will. Think of kings, generals, and sages. They rarely rush to answer. They let others sweat in the waiting. They understand that silence itself can be more unsettling than words. For silence forces the other to confront their own fear of not being in control. This is why Machiavelli observed that timing is everything. It is not about how loud or how fast you respond. It is about choosing the moment that serves you, not them. So let strategic delay be one of your greatest shields. Use it with messages, with conversations, with choices that others try to push upon you. Give yourself space to see the truth and let their own impatience expose them. Each pause becomes a reminder that you are sovereign over your time. Each delayed response is proof that you choose on your terms. And if you find strength in this lesson, let it anchor deeper. Subscribe so you don't miss the next steps in mastering this discipline, and type patience in the comments to seal this practice into your own mind, for in patience you reclaim your throne. And from the throne of patience, you are ready to master an even subtler art, the discipline of silence itself, where words are no longer needed to command respect. Number 4. Reward reversal. Have you ever felt the subtle pull of someone's words? One moment showering you with flattery, the next reminding you of debts you never agreed to pay. It is praise and guilt, two sides of the same coin, and both are used to bend your will. One feeds your pride, the other feeds your conscience. And yet Marcus Aurelius warned us long ago, the applause of others is a fragile thing. What matters is not that they praise you, but that you act with justice. To live by the praise or disapproval of others is to surrender your freedom. The Stoic learns to reverse the game entirely. He does not resist rewards, he redefines them. He does not argue against praise, nor does he defend against guilt. Instead, he chooses not to feed them at all. This is what I call reward reversal. It is the quiet act of withdrawing the very thing that the other seeks most, your emotional response, your validation, your acknowledgement. And when you remove that fuel, the fire they hope to ignite sputters into smoke. Consider the flatterer. He tells you, you are the best at this. No one compares to you. His smile is sweet, but his motive is to bind you with obligation. Many will beam at such words, nod, thank him, and in doing so, take the hook. But the Stoic remains steady. He receives the words without being moved, perhaps with a small nod or a change of subject. The message is clear. I do not need your praise to know my worth. In that moment, the manipulator feels the ground shift. For what he offered was a leash disguised as a gift, and you refuse to wear it. Now guilt, this weapon is sharper, for it cloaks itself in virtue. After everything I've done for you. Or, surely you can't refuse just this once. Here they play not on your vanity, but on your desire to be good, loyal, noble. Yet Epictetus reminds us, if you wish to be good, first believe that you are good. To stand firm against false guilt is not selfishness, it is the highest form of integrity. The Stoic answers with calm simplicity. Not this time, nothing more, no elaborate defense, no desperate justification. For to defend guilt is to admit it. To argue is to step into the snare. Silence and clarity break the chain before it can tighten. I recall a story of a man in a council meeting whose colleague sought to steal recognition. The manipulator presented the man's work as his own, expecting outrage, expecting the victim to fight for scraps of credit. But instead of confronting him directly, the man turned and with a calm voice praised another colleague for her contribution, ignoring the thief completely. In that instant, the manipulator was denied the attention he craved, denied the reaction he wanted, and left standing in a silence more punishing than any accusation. That is reward reversal at its finest. It is not about humiliation, but about refusing to feed what is false while strengthening what is true. This practice reveals something deeper. Most people are addicted to validation. They crave being seen, heard, affirmed. Manipulators thrive on it more than anyone. When you remove it, when you give nothing, no laughter at their jokes, no warmth at their flattery, no defense at their guilt, they spiral. Their sense of control depends on your reaction, and without it, they are left in a void they cannot tolerate. In this void, they reveal themselves: impatience, anger, insecurity. Their mask slips and their game collapses. Remember this: the one who controls the currency of approval controls the room. It is not the man who begs for recognition who holds power. It is the man who gives it sparingly, with intention, or withholds it entirely. Reward reversal does not mean you never praise or affirm others. It means you decide when and why. It is your gift, not their trap. So when faced with those who seek to bait you, stand as the Stoics stood. Do not resist the praise or fight the guilt. Simply withdraw the reward they hunger for. Be unmoved and let their own hunger consume them. For the true measure of freedom is not how loudly you reject chains, but how silently you refuse to wear them. And as you master this art, you step into a new truth. Influence is never seized by those who grasp for it. Influence belongs to those who no longer need it. From here, we move into an even subtler weapon, the strength of controlled indifference, where the absence of concern itself becomes unshakable power. Number 5. Ambiguity armor. Have you ever noticed how quickly people try to pin you down with questions that sound innocent, but are really nets cast to catch your position? What are you thinking? Why didn't you respond right away? What's your plan next? At first, it feels harmless, even friendly. But the truth is simple. Clarity can make you predictable, and predictability makes you easy to move like a piece on a board. Manipulators study clarity the way generals study maps. Once they know your exact position, they begin plotting your defeat. That is why one of the most powerful forms of armor you can wear is ambiguity, deliberate restraint, chosen vagueness, the refusal to hand over the map of your inner world. The Stoics understood this long before the term existed. Epictetus warned his students not to waste their words explaining themselves to those who would never understand. He taught that freedom comes not by broadcasting every thought, but by guarding what should remain within. The less you reveal, the less others can misuse. Ambiguity is not a mask of fear, it is a discipline of self-command. It is the wisdom to know that your goals, your insecurities, and your next move are not public property. They are sacred ground. I recall a story of a young senator in Rome pressed in council to declare his stance on a coming vote. His rivals surrounded him with questions, eager to map his loyalties. But instead of declaring openly, he would only answer with calm restraint. It depends on how matters evolve. Or, I am still reflecting. His vagueness unsettled them. They grew restless, debating among themselves, revealing more than they intended. By saying less, he learned more. By being unreadable, he became untouchable. And when the time came, he acted with clarity, but only at a moment of his choosing. This is ambiguity in practice. When someone flatters you excessively, you don't beam with gratitude or scramble to return the praise. You offer a faint smile, perhaps change the subject. When someone presses for your plans, you do not draw them a map. You say, "I'm considering my options." When they demand to know why you are quiet, you simply say, "I'm processing." Short, calm, unmoved. Every time you resist the urge to over-explain, you dull the manipulator's blade, for their weapon is information, and your silence leaves them swinging at fog. Even your body carries this armor. To nod too eagerly, to smile too widely, to lean in too quickly, these are openings. Manipulators notice such signals and treat them as levers. But when you keep your posture measured, your expression steady, your gestures rare, you create doubt in their minds. They cannot tell if they pleased you, annoyed you, or failed to impress you at all. You become the question they cannot answer. And few things unsettle a schemer more than mystery. Machiavelli once advised that a ruler must be both lion and fox, forceful in action, cunning in concealment. Force is what you do. Cunning is what you hide. Ambiguity is not indecision. It is calculated concealment, the discipline of showing only what strengthens your position. The Stoic knows this well. To be unreadable is not to lack direction. It is to keep one's direction immune from intrusion. Think of how this shifts the balance in any conversation. When you hold back, others rush to fill the silence. They reveal their fears, their desires, their hidden agendas, all while you remain still. In personal bonds, when you don't label every detail of your life, you create a contrast. One moment open, the next reserved. That unpredictability commands attention because people value most what they cannot fully grasp. Mystery, even when simple, breeds respect. And in professional life, ambiguity becomes a sharpened tool. In negotiations, the one who speaks last often has the advantage. In leadership, the one who does not declare every intention keeps others cautious, guessing, careful not to misstep. You are not erratic, you are deliberate. You are not cold, you are disciplined with presence. Ambiguity creates a space where you observe everything while exposing nothing. So the next time you feel pressured to explain, pause. The next time someone demands clarity, remind yourself that you owe none. Hold back, not from fear, but from mastery. Let them wrestle with their own uncertainty. For in a world where everyone performs loudly, overshares and begs to be understood, nothing carries greater weight than a soul who cannot be figured out. And once you master ambiguity, you unlock another layer of power. The art of redirection, where you guide attention away from yourself and toward a place of your choosing. Number 6. The exit threat. Have you ever noticed how much power others seem to hold over you when you fear losing them, whether it is a partner, a friend, or even a job? That fear of absence becomes the chain manipulators count on. They test your patience, push your boundaries, and study how far they can go before you finally break. Most people stay too long in that game, hoping words, reasoning, or sacrifice might restore what was already poisoned. But the Stoics knew that true freedom begins the moment you realize you can walk away. The one who does not cling, who does not beg, who does not explain endlessly, becomes untouchable. Seneca once wrote, "He is most powerful who has himself in his own power." This is the essence of the exit threat. It is not an angry declaration, not a dramatic farewell. It is a quiet presence that says, "I am here because I choose to be, and I can leave just as easily." That silent readiness unsettles those who thrive on control because their entire strength depends on your dependence. They do not rule through genuine authority. They rule through your fear of losing them. When that fear dissolves, so does their influence. Imagine a toxic relationship where every attempt to assert yourself is met with guilt. You say no, and they answer, "So you don't care about me." You take space, and they murmur, "I guess I'm not a priority." The purpose is not love, it is leverage. But then, one day, you stop arguing. You stop proving. You stop defending your right to breathe. You simply answer, "All right," and you step back for days without a word. The silence is not meant to punish. It is simply the absence of your presence. For the first time, the manipulator feels powerless. What once chained you becomes their own undoing. Or picture the workplace. A colleague constantly takes credit for your work, pressures you into carrying their load, undermines you when they can. Most would complain or beg recognition. The Stoic does not. He documents, he builds connections quietly, he strengthens his own path. And then, without warning, he requests a transfer, or better yet, resigns and steps into a greater opportunity. No scenes, no warnings, only dignity. What once seemed like dependence reveals itself as choice, and the one who thought he held your strings is left holding nothing. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself not to live as if he were chained to any single outcome. Consider how swiftly all things vanish away. This thought, properly understood, grants unshakable leverage. For when you no longer fear the loss of a relationship, a job, or the approval of others, you walk with a calm authority that cannot be faked. Detachment is terrifying to those who manipulate because it renders you unreadable. They no longer know which words will sting, which guilt will work, which promises will bind. You become a presence they cannot push. The exit threat is projected in small ways, through time, by not being endlessly available, by letting your absence carry weight. Through emotional discipline, by meeting disrespect, not with rage, but with composure that signals you are already finished with their games. Through independence, financial, social, and mental. For as long as someone controls your survival, they will believe they control your spirit. Building your own foundation in silence ensures that when the day comes, you can walk away with dignity intact. Machiavelli wrote that it is safer to be feared than loved when the two cannot coexist. Yet he understood that fear does not require shouting or force. Sometimes the most formidable presence in the room is the one who smiles, says nothing, and leaves with everything he built and everything others assumed they owned. The exit threat is not about abandonment for its own sake. It is about ensuring that every connection in your life is chosen, not chained. This quiet readiness reveals the truth of people around you. Some will show respect when they realize you are free to leave. Others will reveal that they only valued you because they assumed you were trapped. When that assumption disappears, so do they, and that is no loss. For what is left is clarity. The gaslighting fades, the guilt trips fall flat. The hooks rust and break because you no longer play to be accepted. You stand whole, guarding your peace above all else. And this is the lesson the Stoics lived by. Never let your worth hang on another's grip. To carry the exit threat is to remind yourself and others that your dignity is not negotiable. From that ground of strength, you are ready for the next truth. The art of redirection, where power is not shown in leaving, but in guiding the game itself. Number 7. Playing dumb. Have you ever watched someone try to provoke you, waiting eagerly for the spark of your reaction, only to realize you have given them nothing? Few things disarm more quickly than silence wrapped in calm indifference. This is the art of playing dumb, not ignorance, but deliberate restraint. Manipulators expect resistance. They prepare for arguments, explanations, and outbursts. But when you meet their games with a faint smile or a disinterested shrug, their entire rhythm collapses. The Stoics knew this tactic well. Epictetus reminded us, if someone does wrong, the harm is theirs. Why make it your own? To play dumb is not to be blind. It is to see the game clearly and choose not to enter it. When a person delivers a veiled insult instead of defending yourself, you let the words pass as though they never landed. When they ask questions designed to corner you, you answer vaguely or not at all. You become unreadable. And in that unreadability lies your strength. I recall a story of a soldier under Marcus Aurelius who was mocked by rivals for his quiet manner. They expected him to defend his honor loudly, to fight back with anger. Instead, he only smiled, tended to his duties, and gave them no satisfaction. Weeks later, when an inspection revealed their failures and his diligence, the emperor himself praised the man. His silence had not been weakness, it had been strategy. By pretending not to notice, he allowed his opponents to expose themselves, while his own strength remained intact. This method requires patience. To play dumb is to resist the urge to prove yourself in every moment. It is to observe quietly, to note patterns, to store what you see without revealing that you see it. Let them believe they are winning while you are simply gathering truth. The Stoic understands that the true victory does not come from striking back instantly, but from showing in time that the other never held control in the first place. So when someone tries to bait you, remember this: blindness can be armor and silence can be a sword. Let them reveal their hand while you remain steady. And when the time is right, you will not need to raise your voice or fight for proof. You will only need to show with calm presence that you were never truly in their grasp. From here, the path opens to the final lesson, the art of integration, where every tactic we've explored joins together into one unshakable presence. You're no longer someone who can be played. You have stepped into a rare state of strength, the mindset of being unreadable. You no longer explain your silence or defend your distance. You no longer rush to fix, to please, or to justify. Instead, you carry calm, clarity, and authority. You enter spaces without seeking permission, and others adjust to you. When a manipulator tries their tricks, they find nothing to grasp, because indifference dissolves every attempt. That is real power. Comment below with the words "calm power" to seal this truth for yourself. If this message resonates, subscribe and continue this journey of growth with us. Remember, the ability to remain steady in a world of noise is a gift few ever master. Hold on to it and be ready, because the next lesson will take you even deeper into the art of unshakable presence.